Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Live with Royce and Lisa. I am Royce,
I'm Lisa.
and we're back, as I call it, Season 2, Episode 2. And the title is Blessing. Nope. Choices.
Blessings and consequences.
Yes.
Yes.
So, how was your day today?
It was good.
You made good choices?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did.
Good. So, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'm going to pull up my notes.
Okay. So, with this topic tonight, the blessings and the consequences, one of the things that I wanted to point out in relationship and for self is the fact that we get to choose our actions. We choose each other daily. We choose to be good moms, good coworkers, good spouses, good partners, good friends. We choose. So by choosing good actions, then we reap the benefits of those good actions. If we choose bad, same. But here's the thing. Our choice is in the front end, not the back end. So we make a choice to do something positive. The Lord blesses us as He sees fit. If we choose to do something negative, we don't get to choose the consequence. So we lose the authority of what happens, but we understand that whatever we sow, that is what we will reap. And that is my scripture for this evening, which comes out of Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 and 8. It says, "Do not be deceived or deluded and misled. God will not allow himself to be sneered at, scorned, disdained, or mocked by mere pretensions or professions, or by his precepts being set aside." Precepts being his guide for righteous living. It says, "He inevitably deludes himself," the person that does this, "and he attempts to delude God. For whatever a man sows, and that only is what he will reap. For he who sows to his own flesh, lower nature, sensuality, will from the flesh reap decay and ruin and destruction. For he who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life." And then the famous scripture that we all know is, "And let us not lose heart and grow weary and faint in acting nobly and doing right. For in due time and at the appointed season, we shall reap if we do not loosen and relax our courage and faint." So there is reward in doing good, and there are curses and burdens in doing bad. And I think as that relates to relationships, it's consistent. If we pour into our relationship the things that our relationship needs to thrive, our relationship will do exactly that. It's the law of attraction.
Right. And one of the things that I wanted to point out too when I was studying this is sometimes we think that, well, it's a small choice. It's really insignificant. But even small choices have big consequences, can have big consequences.
True.
That one little thing that you think you're getting away with and you think it's not harming anybody, it could potentially have damaging consequences down the road.
True.
I mean, you could ruin generations by one little choice that you make right now. So we have to be mindful of that and thinking that no matter how big or how small the choice is, the consequence can be that much bigger.
So when you think about When you think about sowing daily into something, let's just say your job. Let's just say your job. Use that as an example. How would you say you sow daily into your job?
Me personally, I try to be as helpful as I can when people come into my area, my courtroom.
Okay.
So whatever I can do to be helpful, where sometimes they'll come in, they don't have a clue of where they're supposed to be. So then I'll start asking probing questions. What kind of case is it? Do you know who the judge is? Was it a man or a woman judge? Is it criminal? Is it civil? Try to give me something where I can send them back out and be like, okay, go here, go do this, and that. Or even, sometimes it's something as small as handing somebody some tissue because they've gotten some bad news.
Okay, so I see how. So you're saying you're just doing good towards others, but do you even consider that as sowing?
I do. Every morning, before I start my day, I ask God to allow me to be a help to somebody else, no matter how big or how small. So that's just my way of giving back. Because I could be, some don't go as far as I do. They just automatically send them to the clerk's office.
Yeah.
So I try to save them a step if I can.
Okay. So now you can objectively see how you do that at work. How are you sewing at home?
At home, helping out when I can, doing what I can. How do I sew at home?
Good question.
Having conversations with you. We'll talk about, we'll go over scriptures and some stuff like that sometimes. Sometimes it's just to pick me up, or I'll go out and buy you a flower or something, or I'll do something because I know you had a bad week or a bad day. Try to do something to perk you up a little bit.
I think we subconsciously sew. But here's like a couple weeks ago when we were talking about plotting. That's a conscious sewing. You're either consciously sewing good or you're consciously trying to build up. Same thing, I think, when you are sewing. You're either going to you are consciously treating me as though I am an extension of you. So the sewing is truly, the soap dispenser is empty. I'm not going to keep just going to the other bathroom to wash my hands. I'm going to refill. That's sewing. And you don't know how it's going to come back. It may come back to you as in, you always get the soap. I always close the cabinet when you leave it open without slamming it. Because you leave the cabinet open for me to run into it.
Really?
In the bathroom. So, but I think, excuse me, I think, we sow into each other without necessarily counting the cost that we're sowing.
True.
Because we're mindful that it benefits me for you to be good. It benefits you for me to be good. So we sow without having to consciously think, I'm going to do something good for Royce so that it'll come back for me. Because if you're good, I'm going to be real, real good. I already know that. Okay. So I think when we think about sewing and the benefits of it, that when you're a good person and you have good intentions, it comes without forethought. But when you plot or you respond to things in a relationship off the cuff, quick, you don't measure, and I believe that's what I use. You don't measure the cost of what your consequence might be. because you've acted so haphazardly in the moment, out of passion, out of anger, out of frustration, out of flesh, that you don't give yourself pause enough to weigh this consequence that may come back to me is more than what I'm willing to pay. It's more of a ransom than what I would want to put my significant other in front of. Even if it's like today, I knew you were calling me because you call me at the same time every day. And I knew certain things were going to happen if I didn't answer the phone. One, you're going to call me back. You're going to have him call me back, which you did. And then the other piece was, this is me thinking, if I kept calling him and I knew he should be able to answer and he doesn't, what's wrong? I'm immediately going into, I need to be able to send him a message, let him know why I'm not answering the phone, because there was a consequence, a foreseen consequence. And the consequence was, I'm putting undue stress on you. I'm putting some angst in your spirit. Why ain't my wife answering her phone?
Absolutely.
And so, but that was I'm counting that up in my head when I see, okay, he's called me again, and this is the normal time you would call. So I need to avail myself to send a message. Hey, I'm on the phone. This is who I'm talking to, because not just me ignoring the call, but when I tell you who I'm talking to, you kind of be like, oh, okay.
That'll ease it.
I already know. Go ahead.
I had a good question. I know how I would answer this. And a lot of people probably know how I would answer this. But I want to ask you this. Romans 8:28.
On the spot.
Romans 8:28 says, in real life, how can all things work together for good, even when we make mistakes?
Well, you know me. I'm all about context of the whole scripture. So, all things work together for the good. Let's finish that.
Okay.
For those who love the Lord and are called to his purpose.
Okay.
So you have to give all of that. So all things work to good. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So you got to have all that. It's not just everything working out to the good.
Okay, well, let me put it to you like this. A lot of people know what we went through.
Yeah.
A lot of people know that we were divorced and got remarried, and how we got, they may not necessarily how exactly we got back together, but now that we've been back together 13 years since then, how did that work for the good? How did divorce work for our good?
Because we love the Lord and we are called according to his purpose.
That doesn't tell the people how.
So let me finish. So because of that, he knows our heart. He knows our intent. And our intent towards one another and and for the obedience towards his word, he can now use what we've been through for good. Now, we could have just left it at, we made these bad choices, we've done this thing that was displeasing and got in our own way and been high rolling, and yeah, I did, but this is all that took place before this, that, and the third, and never came back to reconciliation. But God would have everyone to be reconciled, not only unto him, but for us to be reconciled, because marriage is holy. So when we get back in agreement with what he put together, now he can say, okay, I see the heart of my children. Now the things that need to work together can work together for the good, because they are repentant of what they've done. They have reconciled back unto me and to each other. So he can work that thing out. But he can't work it out if we get in our own way.
Okay. Let me ask it a different way.
Okay.
How did the divorce make us better?
I think with the divorce, I can't just take the divorce and not talk about the reconciliation piece. It made us more intentional. The divorce and reconciliation made us more intentional. I think the divorce highlighted areas in both of us where we could see where we brought the fault. I brought my own fault. You brought your own fault. We could see that in the divorce. The reconciliation piece is what made us more intentional that we don't want to go back there. Right. That was a pain and a time that we would not intentionally put each other through again.
Right. So for me, the divorce made us look at ourselves, made us look in the mirror and figure out what we did individually that helped break down the marriage. And now it makes us look at what we can do individually and to collectively do better so that we don't have to go through those same struggles again.
Yes, but I had the struggle piece about doing so much of this so public because nobody would purposefully put their wrongs on display. And I think for me, I had to more rely upon the blessings that came out of it to want to be able to bear the dirt that caused the blessings that grew out of the dirt.
Right.
I had to see it as, okay, these are the blessings that grew out of the dirt. I don't necessarily need to harp on the dirt. You can harp on the dirt if you want to, but I want to harp on the blessings.
Right.
And I think that's what got me over the, I don't think this is any good for anybody, but place that I was in.
Right. But as a tree or a plant, it starts with a seed and it has to go in the dirt. It has to get the nutrients from the dirt. You just piling stuff on top of it. But then once it starts to grow up through the dirt, you don't focus on the dirt anymore. You're looking at what you got on top of the dirt. You're looking at the rows that's going to grew up out of the dirt or even through the cement. What we went through, and that might be a perfect example of the rows growing through the concrete court because we rose through the concrete and we survived growing up in that environment. Even though it wasn't much around us, we found enough in each other to grow up through that, and now we're flourishing.
But how do you tie that into the choices that we made? Because at the time we made those choices, we were not considering blessings coming out of the choices.
Right.
We could care less. Truth be told, transparent, we could care less of any consequence. Mm-hmm. It was pure flesh. It was emotion. It was all the things that could steer us wrong is what we were buying into and subscribing to. We did not consider the blessings or the consequences.
True.
And so talk about going into a war blind. Mm-hmm. And the war being facing the world without the person who God appointed you to walk arm in arm with.
Right.
We decided that we would go into this next chapter of the battle solo. And it was nobody but God's mercy that says, thank God he knows our future from our current state. It was nobody but God that said, I will not allow the consequence to meet you at your present day. Because if I allowed your consequence to meet you in your present day,
come on.
If I catch you up in your mess right now, and I don't give you any space, I don't give you time for repentance. I don't give you time for reconciliation. That's grace.
Exactly.
And so when we have to be careful that when we are sowing the things, when we're doing the actions, when we're plotting against and not for, when we tread on thin ice, however you want to say it, we have to understand we may be holding something ransom that we're really not willing to give up. Really don't want, whether it be your peace, whether it be your home, your spouse, your child, whatever it is, your job, whatever it is, we have to be careful that we are pouring in more than we take it out.
True. And like you said, it was nothing but the grace of God that allowed us to get the second chance, to choose differently the second time around. And, when I think about how the choices we made back in 2011 had even affected our children, who were innocent in it all, because they had nothing to do with our divorce, but they were affected some by the choices that we made.
Yeah.
And thank God that they had another chance to see us get it right, to make better choices, and to grow from where we were.
Yeah. What else you got?
So blessings that don't feel like blessings. What happens when God's lessons come wrapped in discomfort? Because we were definitely in an uncomfortable space. Well, I was, for sure.
What happens when blessings come wrapped in discomfort?
You grew.
What I thought about in that was birth. Blessings wrapped in discomfort. You got to go through it, but you would consider your child to be a blessing. Blessings wrapped in discomfort. What is it? What do you do when blessings are wrapped in discomfort?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first thing I would do is be thankful for the blessing. Period. And I think it's not always easy, especially when a situation or circumstance hurt. It hurt. So it's hard to see the blessing in it. Let's just say, not our circumstance, but let's just say we were in a toxic relationship. The blessing is in getting out. Yeah. It's the blessing. It is painful because you're emotionally tied to the negativity. You may even be codependent to it all. But the blessing is in the exit. And sometimes we want to exit but take a momentous item. Right. I'm leaving, but I'm gonna take this framed picture of you. Or I'm leaving, but I'm gonna take, this, that, and the third. So what do? You put your head down and you go into prayer. Because a lot of times Satan would have us, I want to be careful how I phrase it. We can be blessed with something that is wrapped in hurt or pain. And we would rather ease the pain of staying, knowing our blessing is somewhere else. But we are such a fickle people that we would rather soothe. I just don't want to go through it. It's just, it's just going to be so hard. I'm going to be alone. People are going to ask questions, whatever, what have you. And God is saying, if you just trust me, this pain that you feeling now, you felt it. You felt along with him in the house. Let me be your comfort. You felt alone with with her texting you, because you knew she was texting you with her back to her man. So your blessing may be in the exit, but we want to keep the familiarity of something, the comfort of something, the physical comfort of something. And God is saying your blessing is on the other side of this pain if you trust me.
So it's funny that you went there, because when I thought of this question, I was actually thinking about a domestic violence survivor. And sometimes when they're in a domestic violence type situation, sometimes, let's just say the man, for example, controls the money, and he keeps the woman at home. She's not working. She's been isolated from all her family and friends. And so now it would be uncomfortable for her to leave because she has nothing. She don't have any money saved up. She doesn't have a car. She's always relied on the man to take care of her. So in this situation, what does she do? Because it's going to be some real discomfort to her and her children if she has to leave and go to a shelter. And nobody wants to live in a shelter, especially with their children. But sometimes you have to take that discomfort for the moment in order to get a lifetime of peace. And you never know when that Mr. Right might be there, waiting on you while you're at the shelter.
But there's so many things that goes into the psyche about why I should stay, the fear of going, the fear of staying. The scripture says, what profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul? If being in a place has you neglecting your soulful nutrients, being in a place, you with that man, but he don't want you to go to church. You with that man, but he don't want you praying. You with that woman, but she's atheist and you a PK. And you decide that it's more profitable for me to stay in this relationship again because it feels good, because he's saying them sweet nothings to me, because she know how to do them that sausage gravy real good, whatever got you staying in, so you ransom, you hold your soul ransom, and you say, it profits me well to stay in this situation. And every day my soul is over here thirsty. And I'm not giving it anything because I'm over here profiting the world. The world being your house, the world being that car that you got to wash on Sunday morning, and it ain't because you're on your way to Sunday school. Whatever it is, we have to really get down to the blessings of the choice and the consequences of the choice, because you choose to stay, and I'm not making light of leaving, staying, or that, but you will have the way of escape and choose not to escape. And it may be out of fear that you don't escape. It may be out of fear. But greater is he that is within me than he that is in the world. And that's that man or that woman, because domestic violence go both ways. So that is that man or that woman. God is greater than he, is greater than she, and he is in you.
So if you guys got any questions or any comments that you want to make, please feel free to type them in. If you got questions, just type it in. I'll read them out loud. I want to go to this next question. Choosing differently. Next time, what practical steps helps us turn lessons into lasting changes? For me, I knew one of the issues that we had was how I frivolously spent money and didn't think about next week. If I wanted something today, I was going to spend it. If I didn't have it, I was going to try to find a way to get it and not think about the next week or next month. And so, because I knew that was a problem in our first marriage, when I came back and asked you what was one of the things that I could have done to be a better husband, and I think one of the things that you told me, one of the many things that you told me was to be better with my finances. And so that made me take a real hard look at how I spent money or how I just bought willy nilly, whether it was fast food. Even though we may have food in the refrigerator, I was going to stop and grab some to eat because I was out instead of just coming home and eating. So that made me take a long, hard look in the mirror as well. And when I did, I remember when I first started saving money, I was like, wow, look at what I got. And then I remember when I asked you to go out with me that time, and you like, well, did you ask me how much was the budget or what was we going to spend? And I told you, don't worry about it.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, and it felt so good to say, well, don't worry about it. I got it.
It felt good to hear you say it. I was like, hold on, what the what?
So I think that has, and I'm still that way now. I've gotten into the habit of saving money.
Probably, you have, and you do really
probably
good.
Now I'm on the other end because now I'm stingy and don't want to spend no money.
Well, it depends on what.
If it's gonna make money, then I might spend it.
Because you sure spend money on camera stuff. Jesus.
But that's making money. Yeah, okay. But anyway, that was one thing that a choice that I've constantly made. And even now, before I go spend it, I do make the conscious choice of thinking about it. How is it going to affect us the rest of the week or the rest of the month? And do I really have it? So I think about those things now.
Yeah.
And it's made a lasting impression or a lasting impact on the way I think about money now.
Conscious choices, exactly what you said. I think conscious choices for me, I would say I'm better. Something that you said really that I was horrible at is tone. I still slip sometimes. But I'm even in when I slip, I am quickly, even if it's not evident, I'm quickly checked in my spirit about it. But I know I can come off as harsh sometimes. I blame a lot of it on menopause, though. I really do. I do. I was told I could, so.
Okay. As long as you and whoever told you that are okay with it.
But I think, but my tone, I know I can. What I have been guilty of, and my strengths coach that is listening would probably agree that I have input as a strength, and so I am passionate and I am responsible. So it comes across as things have to be done in a specific way. Beverly could probably speak to that very well. For me, for it to make sense. And when things are out of order, I have to step back, consider my blind spot. I'm all in my strengths right now. I have to consider my blind spot that not everybody processes things in the same time frame or the same way that I do. And I know that of you. I've been with you for 35 years.
Yeah.
And so I know you are more like, we're both meticulous, but I'm quick with it. And you're like, nope, I gotta sit and think about it and process it. And I'm like, come on, I can ask your opinion, and you'd be like, I don't know, let me think about it. I'm like, don't you know? No, I gotta think about it. What? You just asked me. I'm like, well, don't you know you? How do you feel about it? And so for me, I process quicker, and I have to slow myself down. And I think that comes across in those conscious choices that I make. I come across like I'm rushing everybody, and I need to take a beat and let people have their space and time to think and to process.
It's funny you said that because this is the first time that we've talked about you being quick to say something or want to do something. And usually I'm the one that's quick to want to jump to an idea. If I got an idea and I think it's good,
yeah.
there you go. There you go.
That is you. That is you.
It is.
That is you about ideas.
Right. I can't deny it.
But I'll be like, Royce, the trash needs to go out. Oh yeah, I'm gonna take it out in the morning. But it's stinking. Needs to go out like right now. I'm gonna take it out in the morning, just tie it up. I don't want to just tie it up. I want it out of the kitchen. I'll just take it in the morning. So it depends on what it is, on your level of interest, if it's gonna happen quickly or not.
So would you say the same thing about you? What you just said?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. This is the first, y'all. We big on first too. We make conscious choices to do stuff for the first time that we've never done before.
What's the consequence in that, though?
And what? In doing first? Creating first?
No. Those are blessings. Oh. What's the consequence in my negative, in what I was doing that was hurtful? What was your this is interesting. Your reaction or response to that was my consequence.
And my choice was to shut down.
And so then the consequence, it hurt the relationship. The
consequence was the breakdown in the communication.
Yeah. I chose the action, but I couldn't choose how it manifests. I couldn't choose it. I couldn't say, well, I'm going to be this way and you're just going to change to follow suit.
Beryl said, yes, it's her responsibility input.
It is.
Totally agree. What else did we get?
Beverly is a great strength coach, everyone. Shameless plug. Beverly Griffith Bryant.
Yes. Very, very, very good.
Look her up on Facebook.
The blessings of accountability. Why is owning our actions a spiritual act of maturity?
Oh. I'm going to let you answer that first.
The blessings of accountability. Y'all, when I took accountability for what I did to cause the divorce, it totally changed my mindset. When I was sitting in the room and I began to ask God, why? Why am I here? He slowly began to show me different things about me that I never saw before. You know, sometimes when you're so close to a situation, you don't see the wrongdoing that you're doing. All you see is the other person and what they're doing. And so when I began to look in the mirror and truly look in the mirror, I began to see my faults and I had to take accountability for those. And truly, I can honestly say that it made me a better person. Not just for Lisa or as a husband, it made me a better person for me. When I decided to take responsibility for what I had done, doors began to open, my eyes began to open, my mind began to open and become open to different possibilities and different way of doing things. I'm not always right. I'm not always going to be on the winning side, but I'm always going to strive to try to be better. And that was one of the things that I went to Lisa and I remember asking her, what did I do wrong so I can be better for me? I wanted to change for me, not for her or not for anybody else. But I just felt that I owed it to myself to be a better person. And so that's what accountability did for me.
Okay. So, I have a scripture. Psalm 119.
Come on, Rem.
Psalm 119 and...
You guys feel free to share this video too. You know, not that we want likes or anything like that, but we truly do this in order to help others. Yeah.
Yep. Psalm 119 and 71 says, "It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn your statutes. The law from your youth is better to me than 1,000 of gold and silver pieces." So it is better for me to be afflicted and learn something from it, to be afflicted and see how God comes in and rescues me, to be afflicted and see how he preserves me and keeps me, to be afflicted and see how he opens doors in spite of the affliction. It's better for me to be afflicted if the affliction draws me closer. So in the affliction, in using your scenario, in the situation with you and with me as well, the affliction of the pain with the divorce process drove you closer to God.
Definitely.
So the affliction, that's that piece that all things work together. Instead of the affliction driving you to alcohol, the affliction drove you closer to the cross.
Drove me closer to you.
It took you to the altar. So he used the thing that meant you ill. He used the thing. You said yes to the disobedience of not cleaving to me. You said yes to that. And he said, oh, but I got other plans. And he drew you closer. You softened to him because you were like, I give up. I surrender. And same for me. I remember when you came and you emptied the closet when I wasn't there. And I didn't know until the next morning. I went to get dressed. I opened the closet and all of your things were gone. And I remember, I don't even think I turned around. I just backed up and I sat on the bed and I'm looking at this empty closet. And to me, the closet resembled my life. I could see the back of the closet where there used to be clothes. And so it was like the broken vessel. Lord, I'm broken. But you can use me. That's the song. Lord, I'm broken, but you can use. Have your way. And that day, I got up. I got dressed. I went to church. And literally, I went, and that day, someone said something to me when I was visiting at this church. Someone said something to me. And I won't say exactly what they said to me, but in a word, pretty much what they said was, you don't look like what you're going through. And so I would say that affliction, it's better that I had it and somebody sees God in me, because what I was being afflicted with wasn't showing. It didn't wear in my countenance, because whatever is in your countenance is what's going to come out. And so even though I was afflicted, my countenance was settled in God, because I still chased after him instead of me sitting on the edge of the bed and just being done for the day. I could have just crawled back in the bed if Lisa had Lisa's way. But God said, go to the house.
So Carlos just said, Carlos Woodard, he just read Blessed While Broken.
Hey!
And he said, I like your new husband better too.
I do too! I really like him.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. If y'all haven't had a chance to read Blessed While Broken, please reach out to me, or you can order it on Amazon.
He's so much better than my first husband. Good Lord, people just don't even understand. He's so much better. That first husband, he was a pill. I like you a lot more.
Yeah, I like you too. She's so funny, y'all. She's the funniest person I know.
I am.
Let her tell me. But going through that, and I, just thinking about what you were saying, how it drove me to the altar. I prayed more than I had ever prayed in my life, and prayed harder and more, I think more sincere, because I had nothing. I was truly broken, and I I needed something that the world couldn't give me. Alcohol couldn't give it. I couldn't going out, couldn't do it. Playing sports didn't do it. There was nothing that could fulfill me like he could.
I heard you say, I don't think you wrote it in the book, but I think I heard you say to someone the other day that during that time everything was black and white.
Yeah, it was everything was black and white. Um, Nothing had flavor. When going through that period of my life, and even now looking back on it, I still see it as black and white because it was a dark period, and it wasn't. It's hard to describe. Seeing the world as black and white, there's no color because there was no joy.
And in that season though, although you were drawing closer to God, he still allowed you to feel the weight,
Yeah.
some of the consequence. Because, and here's the thing, here is the blessing inside of all of that, the blessing wrapped up in the pain. Had you not felt some of the consequence of the choice, you may not have drawn closer to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were able to make the choice and then everything seemed great, I must have made the right choice, right?
Right.
Because everything is going great. I chose to leave. I chose to ask for the divorce. She gave it to me, and we're good. She's good. We did the right thing.
I remember writing in the book, and I said that I had to feel some of the pain that you went through. I had to feel it in order to understand a small portion of what you went through. And the reason why I say that is because I came back to her several times. Hey, let's try this again. Let's try this again. And when you told me I don't want to be your friend, I don't want to be nothing. I don't have nothing to say. I don't have nothing to say to you.
I think you over exaggerate.
That's exactly what I will never forget those words because it broke me even more. And I remember walking home crying, walking to my parents' house crying. And the Lord was just talking. He said, "You need to feel this." Because she was hurt. She was broken. And so for you to just walk away scot free and not feel anything wouldn't be right. So you need to feel some of those consequences. You need to feel some of these choices that you have. That you need to feel the consequences from the choices that you made. And then it hit me again. I think we were back together. We had been married. We were married again. We were, and we did an interview, Wingo, and we did a video. And I remember you said it felt like I threw you away, like I did the stuff that I didn't want. I discarded, and I was like, wow, I didn't think about it that way. Mm-hmm. And it still stung a little bit, and I understood where you were coming from, but at the same time, it didn't feel good knowing that I made you feel that way. Mm-hmm. I never, ever, ever, ever want to make you feel like I've hurt you or to know that I've hurt you on purpose.
I was just going to say, or chose to hurt.
Right.
There's that hurt by deliberate action is hurt by omission. And, and it could just be hurt out of being absent-minded. I didn't intentionally do it. But knowing that we made the choices and I say we, you asked, I went along with it. And something my sister pointed out to me, this year, 2026, my sister, she has the memory of an elephant. I'm like, how did you even remember that? I was talking to her about a situation that I was vexed with. And I poured out to her as the pastor, not as my sister. And I said, these are the things that I'm praying for. I'm praying for clarity on this, that, and the third. And I told her the situation, and she told me, like, that is an area of weakness for you, to lean, basically to allow someone to say, this is the route that I want my life to take, and I need your blessing to go this way, and you go along with it because it's what they want. And what she was saying was the fact that by law in the state of Illinois, come on, bailiff, you have to be separated 6 months.
Supposed to.
And we were not.
Mm-hmm.
And so to skirt that, to circumvent that requirement, I agreed.
Mm-hmm.
You asked, and I went along with. But had I done things according to the way they should have been done, it would have given us that pause. It would have given us that time. But it was like, you want it? I'm giving it to you. You said, the Lord said, have at it. Let you and the Lord work that out. Don't let me stand in the way of your obedience. And by doing that, I was just as wrong, just as guilty by giving into the request, because I have responsibility too to keep this thing afloat. Just like two people can't make it all, one person can't make it all bad. It takes two to make it bad, and it takes two to make it work. And so I did not have to give my nod to that. I did not have to say okay to that. So yes, you presented it to me, but I went along with it. And I think, that's my ownership in that piece. I could have given us time, and I was just like, you said it. I'm garbage. I'm garbage. If you say to someone, I no longer want to be that to you, then everything that represents that part of you, all of it can go away. So if by being your husband, listen to what I'm saying, by being your husband, you carry my name. I no longer want to be your husband. So you no longer need to carry my name. That's what you're saying. And for most men, some men don't care about the whole hyphenate names. Some men, some men do, some men don't. We've had the conversation about the hyphenated name. Mm-hmm. But to say to a woman, I don't want you to have my last name. And you never verbally said that, but that's what it felt like. Because most men would consider it the honor for the woman to take my name. And so by you saying, I don't want you to be my wife, that puts me back in the pool of all the other women in the world. They don't have your name.
Good point. So we got about 5 more minutes.
Do we? Yeah. Have we been on an hour? Yeah. We were only supposed to be on 30 minutes. Sir.
I know, but we got good.
30 minutes.
So the time frame is 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, nah. What is this?
Because depending on how good it gets, I don't want to just cut it off and be like, oh, we'll continue it in 2 weeks.
I have my prayer call in 5 minutes.
Okay, so if I gave you one word, choices, what's immediately come to your mind?
For real? What's what I really just thought?
Yeah. First thing, food. Okay.
That's where I struggle. So that's the first thing I thought.
Okay.
I say that's where I struggle. When I think about, when you say choices and I think about you, I don't struggle with anything of that. I don't struggle in any of my choices that I make for you, towards you, concerning you. I don't struggle with any of that. So if you say choices, I got to think of an area where I struggle. Food.
Yeah, we both could be in that same boat, which always brings up the question: what do you want to eat today?
I know.
Choices.
Choices.
And those choices have consequences.
Good Lord, hey, look at my waist. It's the consequence of me choosing the wrong thing. Look at
That's funny.
my cheek.
Yeah. So we hope y'all enjoyed tonight's episode. Hope you learned something from tonight. Again, I think I always learn something from these conversations. And these are the type of conversations that you should have every now and then.
Just sit down.
Just sit down and talk.
Turn the TV off.
We were on vacation. We got a chance to just sit down and talk. Well, I think that we got a chance. We were intentionally about it. And I remember I was just sitting at the table and just talking for hours, like 4 or 5 hours. Before you know it, they was ready to kick us out.
Yeah.
But we were just sitting out talking. We had a good time just having those conversations. And sometimes they were heavy, sometimes they were about work. But a lot of the conversation was just about us.
Reminiscing.
Yeah.
About the struggle.
About it all.
When was the last time you reminisced about the struggle? Woo!
And when you can look back at the struggle and smile.
My goodness. The humble beginning.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the humble beginning.
Yeah.
But look where it brought us to.
Yeah.
Let's see, nobody else said anything. Again, we're going to do this every other week. 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how good the conversation is.
30 minutes.
We're going to try to keep it at 30 minutes. We want to be mindful of your time, and at least have a prayer call at 8. But I think these types of conversations are good because one thing about us is real. You getting the real us.
It is us for real.
You see how we look, we ain't dressed. It don't matter.
Eyes tight.
Because that's not what it's about. Nope. If we were all glammed up, with makeup and
put together,
then you'd be like, that ain't them. This is us for real, y'all.
This is us. This is the Real Housewives.
Right. If y'all know
this is the real reality show.
Right. If y'all know it, then you'll know. So tune in, not this Monday, but the following Monday. Shout out to Be Blessed Culture, Be Blessed Photography, Be Blessed Clothing, author Royce Dixon Sr. Got a new book, 2 new books coming out. Yeah. Be on the lookout. Shout out to my baby, Fancy.
Come on, Fancy.
Yeah, that's my girl. Shout out to Miss Kristen.
Yes, our guy, Mommy.
Shout out to, who else we got? Sea Breeze. Non-emergency medical transport.
Yes. She Publishing.
She Publishing. Man, when I tell y'all I got the best publisher, I got to give her a huge shout out. She saw that we were doing a fundraiser at church. And I probably shouldn't even say it, but I got to say it because she didn't have to. People don't have to be nice to you. Yeah. And she sent the donation just because. She don't live here. She don't go to church here. But she saw it and wanted to sow a seed. Yeah. So thank you very much. My mother she was so appreciative. She was. Who else can we give a shout out to? Shout out to my barber in Tyler, Texas. Mr. Carlos Woodard Jr.
Yes, Carlos.
And you and Kimmy, y'all
we need to have 5 conversations.
Right. We definitely need to have a conversation.
Babe, I got my prayer call.
Okay, y'all. It's 8 o'clock. All right. That's it. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.